Ersin, hard not to notice that BYU, for the first time in maybe forever, has two guys that are both freshmen that are now projected to be in your NBA top 20 prospects right now, and Yegor Demin and Kanon Catchings. So let's go ahead and start with Yegor, who you have at number 15. What is it about his game that you feel like translates the most to the NBA and makes him such a high level prospect?
If you look at Yegor Damin's game, he's 6'9", he's a natural ball handler, a pick-and-roll playmaker who gets downhill easily. So that's what NBA teams want, right? Size, versatility, someone with on-ball skills, real point guard skills at that size. So that's the intrigue. Real Madrid used him as a complementary piece, not featured in that much. And what I like about Yegor Damin for Brigham Young is that he will play as a point guard who can diversify his game because he's mostly known because of his shooting. And I don't really think that's his best attribute because the best attribute in my idea is to lead an offense. Purely looking at talent, purely looking what he can do with the ball in his hands, I don't see much of an issue for him.
Ersin Demir is with us on BYU Sports Nation. Okay, you've discussed Yegor Demin and your initial analysis of him. You mentioned recently that the more you watch Kanon Catchings, you feel like he too is a guy that could maybe sneak into that lottery scenario with his length and athleticism. What specifically do you like about Kanon's game, and what have you seen recently to make you feel that way?
The more watch that guy, the more I fall in love with him, man, because he came from overtime lead. I think that's a good context for him to develop because he is a great athlete with great length. He has all the tools to be a good defender at the next level. But if you look at the NBA today, big wings who can handle the ball, dribble, pass, and shoot, and have offensive creativity, those are the most valuable guys. And with Kanan Catchings, I see an offensive, creative scorer. Combined with that, he has great length, great physical tools to be a good defender. Again, this applies to most of these young guys. They have to get stronger, but gradually. So I think his adjustment time will be a little less than Yegor, and I think he will eventually be one of the best players in the Big 12 among freshmen and one of the most important guys on Brigham Young, maybe be the number one guy further down the line.
We're talking with NBA draft analyst and insider Ersin Demir on BYUSN. Okay, you've given us fantastic look at both of those players and how their respective games could and what you believe will translate to the NBA level. But how much does BYU's potential success as a team impact the draft status of guys like Yegor Demin and Kanon Catchings?
If I look at how BYU is built their roster compared to last year, they lost Jackson Robinson, but they returned the majority of their players, and they got good complementary players to surround these guys with. But it's more about fitting in a team, but letting the team know that it's all about them, and it's a healthy mix. And now Coach spoke that he went to Kentucky. Now Coach Young comes in. It's his first year. First year usually takes time for a new college coach to set in and fully develop guys and build a winning team, especially in the Big 12, how loaded the Big 12 is. And in the Big 12, I think with some quad one wins, you get in the tournament fairly easy if you finish the conference with 9 or 10 wins. So I think that's the goal for this season. And the closer we get to March, the closer we see how serious these guys are. I think the non-conference schedule is good, but those games are more so to really adjust to the regular season starts, of course. But I like the team's chances, man. I'm not gonna sit there and say that BYU is gonna top 15 in the Big 12. I think that's too crazy to be honest. But it wouldn't shock me if they were the first team after that. More so the
Sure.
second tier. I think the first tier is pretty much it. Even basketball, you never know how things go. But in terms of how the roster is constructed, I think there are 6 or 7 in the Big 12. That's my expectation.
Now, Erson, without question, Kevin Young has taken BYU's recruiting into another stratosphere in less than 6 months. I mean, it's wild what he has done in not even half a year, and BYU has never experienced this type of in how do I phrase this properly without sounding too flowery, but they've never experienced this type of jump this quickly in recruiting. So, what else are you seeing from Kevin Young that makes you confident he can maintain this? What's happening in the recruiting sphere now, aside from what he already has on his roster?
I think Kevin Young is going to show I'm going to prepare you for the NBA in a Coach Calipari type of way, but in his own way, with his own system. And he comes from the NBA, and he's going to play in a similar system like that to prepare these guys for the next level, how they succeed in the next level. But I think in Coach Young's role is going to be less important, and that's why I think the high end talent is going to be intrigued by the idea of that outside of playing in the Big 12. I think the combination of two makes BYU a great destination for young talent. I'm hoping, not because I'm in the spot, because AJ DeBonsa, I'm hoping that he goes to BYU, man. Because he can be an all-time great at BYU, and he can be one of the many at North Carolina, or Duke, or any of these other schools, right? And the NIL paychecks matters because I think that's what I come across on social media. Despite more money in the NBA being developed, I'm not here counting someone else's money, but let's face it, that's the college basketball game today. And they still take the buck right now instead of investing in the future. And the NIL collective of BYU is fairly strong as well. Let's keep it honest. So I think it's multiple strengths that put BYU in a good position to recruit high-end 5 stars, not even the maybe fringe 5 stars or high-end 4 stars. It's all about the big guys right now.
You're throwing out some big names and the number one overall prospect included in what you were just talking about. We'll finish with this. Because you brought up NIL and Kevin Young's ties to the NBA, and his staff is full of guys that are built on developing NBA talent at the G League. I mean, some are joking that it's an NBA boot camp. It's, Provo, Utah, with the emphasis on pro. How much of BYU's recruiting do you feel like is because of Kevin Young and his staff and their ability to develop, compared to how much of it is swayed because of the NIL matters that you just brought up?
I think if we put a percentage, I think 70% Coach Young, 30% NIL, and a part of it is the Big 12 as well. I think these guys want to play in the Power 5 conference, and playing in a Power 5 conference 99% of the time means sacrificing a part of your game. You're recruiting to one person, not really to a school. So these guys are recruiting to, committing to Coach Young. But with the understanding of, if I need to be here for 2 or 3 years, he has a plan for me in year 2, in year 3. I think that's the goal. And now, right, it's his first season. It's too early to draw conclusions. I think it's a big honor for BYU that you can explore new markets, right, this way, with staying loyal to your own principles, which are being protected by Coach Young and how he has things planned for a couple of years. And I think the most important, the Big 12, man, that matters a lot. And you are not really a filler for the Big 12. You're a competitive team in the Big 12. We saw it last season, right? And this season as well. So that's why I like Brigham Young so much, man, because you guys have positioned yourself great in the best conference in college basketball, at least this season. I don't know how much more action is going to be with transfers of schools, etc. Yeah, so that's what I like, man. It's all about the long-winded answers, man. But
hey, we love the information, the insider's edge, and we cannot wait for year 2 of the Big 12. Ersin, we appreciate the time, my friend. We'll talk again soon. Be well.
Yeah. Thank you, Spencer. Have a great day, man.